All right, we are live here at Nowhere Grill in Keaton Beach. I am Captain Jay Carson. This is the Apalachee Inshore Report. Along with me tonight, we got Evan Snow as always, and we want to give a special thanks to Captain Mark Brady for joining us tonight. Mark, appreciate you coming in.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
appreciate the invite.
So we want to thank Nowhere Grill as our title sponsor for this month. Nowhere Grill on Keaton Beach Road right here. They got poker going on right over here and just in front of us. Great atmosphere. A bunch of people showed up tonight. So Nowhere Grill on Keaton Beach Road. I guess it's on the...
It's beautiful. They got the ambient lighting everywhere.
Yep,
It's just beautiful.
It's nice. Got the bar, lots of people watching TV, so it's a great atmosphere. If you ever get a chance to come by here, please stop at Nowhere Grill and grab it. The food is phenomenal, by the way, as well. So Evan's got him a nice cold drink, so we're ready to get rolling.
Sweet tea.
So as always, we're going to start our first segment, which is kind of what's been going on here, and that's sponsored by Wilkinson Fly Fishing, which is located in Havana. Wilkinson Fly Fishing is a local fly shop in Tallahassee. If you have any questions or anything, you can look up wilkinsonflyfishing.com. Order all your stuff online. Plus, if you want to buy your stuff locally, you can get your fly fishing stuff from Wilkinson Fly Fishing.
Not many fly shops in there.
There is not. So Wilkinson Fly Fishing, and they do a really good job of keeping everything in stock. So if there's anything that you need fly-wise, they are the place to go locally. All right, Evan.
Mark, what was water temperature today?
I wasn't on the water today. Yesterday was 64.
Called him out.
And got up to 60. When I got off the water at 2, it was about 67.
Yeah, I came off later yesterday, and it was almost 70, I would say. It was real close to 70, but it's been in the 60s all weekend, first part of this week. It is getting November beautiful, that's for sure. It is,
man. It's like one of my favorite months to be out there. But so what you guys been seeing? You guys been seeing, well, first of all, I know we've had a red tide issue in our area. Red tide, I'm going to put that in quotations because issue, yeah. It hasn't affected river fishing at all. The fishing
hasn't affected inshore fishing at all.
No, it's been phenomenal.
Zero.
So if there's any hesitation about booking a guide in our area, don't let that be a concern. The fishing, the water's clear, the water's cleaning up. We'd have some rain, right?
We can get this damn floating grass out of here.
Yeah, for sure.
Night. I mean, if you get the right wind, it's okay. If you get the south wind or the west wind, it's just all over you.
Yeah. What are you seeing as far as water clarity down there south of Steenhatchee, Mark?
It's I would say around Rocky.
Yeah.
Down to Bull Cove.
Uh-huh.
Clarity's the best.
Okay.
But it's clean from Rocky to the river. It's just that darker tint.
Yeah.
So it ain't mud.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just natural for that body of
Sure.
water. But on around Pepperfish to Horseshoe, it's milky.
Yeah.
When the wind kicks up.
Yeah. We've had some wind especially last week. We had a few days of wind, and it really kind of it was starting to get right, starting to clean up, and then that wind came in here and kind of dirted it up a little bit. But
it's gonna get cleaner.
Yeah, when he talks about the milky water, he's meaning a lot of sediment kicked up. We've had a lot of wind this past week, especially. Turbidity's up, and fish tend not to like. Trout don't like that. I mean, you still can stick some redfish in there, but they don't mind dark water as long as it's just tinted dark and it's not too stirred.
Yeah,
up,
yeah. Actually, I don't like it super well unless I'm sight fishing. I don't like it super clean. I feel like you can.
You sneak up on them better, I think.
So as far as the fishing goes, I'll just talk about we got fronts kind of starting to show up now. So we're having to fish around fronts. So you want to talk a little bit about what you're seeing as far as before, after fronts, or during fronts, or anything like that as far as maybe some recent trips that you've had?
Well, this, not today, but yesterday we had that low or high tide at noon.
Yeah.
So it was just a regular low.
Yeah.
So we took off at daybreak and got into some low trough areas. And the fish are there. They're not in there like they should be, but with the water temperature as cool as it was, I knew they'd settle out into the flats, and they were there.
Yeah.
The fish we talk about us wanting to get the water temperature cool, but them fish want it too.
Oh, yeah, they do, definitely, for sure.
And the tide hasn't been an issue for us as far as fishing, like we said, but it has been for them fish.
Yeah.
They have acted a little stranger here the last 4 or 5 weeks. Not to say the bite wasn't there, you're still catching your fish, but they did react to that stuff.
Yeah. As far as what we've been doing here lately, or what ran a couple trips the past couple weeks. I was out before that big blow, so we had that big blow come. I think it was like last week, midweek sometime. I was out before the
midweek.
Big
There was another one the weekend.
Yeah. And I think we talked about this before the show, but we were seeing some bigger fish show up. And we wound up catching a 37-inch, 25-pound bull in an area that I like to fish that's not really known for big fish, but we did catch that. And then about an hour later, we caught a 28.5-inch, 8-pound trout. So, and that was pre-front. So that was right before that front came through, and we had a pretty I wouldn't say we killed it that day, but we caught some quality fish that day. So, I think that's one of the things right now that you're seeing. We're seeing that water temperature transition from warm to cool, and then we're going to continue to see that, I think.
Just at 65 and 64 degrees in the morning.
Yeah.
The big fish are where they're supposed to be.
Right.
But the numbers ain't there yet, but it's early.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like we just had this big water temp drop in the last week or so with those fronts blowing in, and I feel like they're still in transition.
Sure.
They're not quite settled into where they're going to be at Thanksgiving, and where they're going to hang through Christmas and those areas. But they're getting there. There are some fish there, and given the opportunity, I'm going to target fewer fish in those areas because that's what I enjoy doing more.
Sure.
But they're coming. They're still in a bit of transition.
So that being said, I know a lot of people have been. One of the methods that's been very successful here, last month especially, was live bait. So shrimp's been working good, but with that cooler water now that we got coming, we're going to be able to transition to some artificials. And so I think that as we transition, in that ideal water temperature that we were just talking about, you're going to be able to throw some more artificials, some of your favorite fall baits that you kind of like to throw.
Hey, Mark and I were talking about this earlier, and he's probably about to talk about it some more here in just a minute. But man, it's pretty much plug season. If I can get a treble hook through all the floating grass, if we get the right wind, and that stuff's going to get out of here. It's just taking a little time. We haven't had quite the wind direction we need for a sustained enough time, but. If you catch a clean patch, it's time for your mirrodines, your red fins, Mark was talking about what
live
targets, that type of stuff. Even top water. I still throw a lot of top
definitely.
Water,
You can throw top water even in cold water temperature. You catch the right day, for sure. It can still be productive.
You never know in the winter with the top water bite. You can go out in the morning and sling it, and if you've made a couple dozen casts in a productive area and you hadn't had any follows or swipes, you might as well go ahead and go subsurface. But it's always good to check it if you're a top water guy.
Absolutely.
So tell us about the targets. What are you liking about those right now?
Well, the biggest thing with the suspension and the floating jerk baits, it's the size of the bait. It's a 3-inch bait, and so much of the pinfish and hatch, we say match the hatch.
Right.
Well, 80% of what we catch on charters every year is with live targets. That's what we throw.
Yeah.
I just feel like the treble hooks are easier to de-hook a fish. They ain't swallowing a jig head down to their guts, and I ain't killing no fish, and I can unhook them, and it catches bigger fish.
Yeah.
I catch bigger fish with them plugs.
Yeah.
And a lot of people talk about treble hooks hurting fish, but I don't. It's kind of superficial wounds on their face or their back or anything. If you get, that's going to heal up. What's not going to heal up if you just rip their guts out with a jig head or something. So.
Well, it's easy to unhook them.
And I think the tackle tip is actually us talking about putting inline hooks.
Yeah, we were going to talk about that here in just a bit, for sure, definitely. So, anything else as far as what you're seeing out there that you guys want to bring up here before we transition into our best bets?
Any fishing stories?
You got a story of a recent trip here, Mark?
Well, yeah. I had 4 people from Wisconsin.
Okay.
All right, they're down here getting married. Matter of fact, the couple got married today at Hagen's Cove.
Okay. Oh, cool.
All right, it's the first time they've ever been with us. They come down and go fish. I got 2 gentlemen and 2 young ladies.
Yeah.
And we start out, and I give the gentleman, I said, can you boys handle top water? Oh, yeah. Walk the dog. I said, all right. So I give it to them, and that was a circus. Because every time a fish would blow up, they'd jerk it 10 foot away from me.
Yep.
But the girls were throwing the targets, and I said, "Listen, ladies, all you gotta do is make a pretty decent cast and just twitch, pause.
Yep.
And then when you see the blow up, just lift the rod head and start reeling. Don't set the hook." And they outfished them for an hour or two that morning because them boys are just overzealous with the with the plug.
Well, and when you mention that that's a super common mistake that people make.
I want to talk about.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah,
let's talk a little bit about that because topwater, especially during when you can fish it, especially during the summer, is one of the most protected. I mean, it's good year round, but especially during the summer when that ballyhoo shows up and you get those ballyhoo that are up on the surface, it is a phenomenal bait when you can fish it around the grass, and it can be so productive. It's such a productive method, but the common issue that you have obviously is missing fish. And there's some things that you can do. Obviously, there's some fish that are just going to miss it because they miss it. But there's some things that you can do to cut down on those fish missing that plug. And let's talk about that. Let's talk about what we can do to cut down on those misses.
Okay, so one, and this doesn't just go for topwater. Thank you so much.
Great service here at Nowhere Grill, by the way.
Awesome. Anyway, sorry, a little distraction there. And we're going to talk about topwater, but this doesn't go for just for topwater. This is for anything you're fishing with.
Sure.
So I want to touch on that some more too. But with topwater plugs, you don't snatch, you don't react to the strike. You work your bait. If you're walking the dog, you keep walking it. He strikes on it, you keep walking it. Don't snatch it. You don't have to set the hook on sight. If you see him get it and you feel a tug when you're, working it, then you can tighten up on them, but you don't have to rip them. You don't have to snatch them.
So one of the things on that note is what I tell my clients if they're wanting to learn how to topwater fish or get anxious, and it's very hard to do, but you pretend that like that fish is not blowing up on that plug.
That's right.
You imagine it's not even there, and you just keep working that plug until you feel that fish. That plug, you just keep working it, and then when you feel that fish or when you feel something it gets heavy or whatever, that's when you don't even really set the hook because the fish is going to set the hook itself because it's such a violent strike.
When that pole loads up, it sets
exactly.
And I tell you what works for me sometimes, because even when I get overzealous myself, I just don't even look at the plug. I'm looking everywhere else, watching, see if I see fish moving.
Yep.
And I tried to get them boys the other day to do that. And actually, when he caught his first fish, he was talking, wasn't paying attention.
That's exactly right.
That's the biggest
thing.
thing.
So I think with the visual stuff, that goes for corks too. When people, the number one mistake people make, if you're cork fishing, you see that cork go under, well, you just want to just snatch it. You just want to set the hook right off the bat, and that's not what you want to do. You want to reel down to that fish. You want to feel the fish before you pull back on them.
Yeah, it's
you don't
a real,
want to
real
react to the. You don't want to snatch slack. You get wind knots like that. Hey, and everybody that's watching us, they love the McGriffisms. I got a McGriffism for you right here. Mark, shake my hand. Said you don't. When you feel that pull right there, you don't want to set the hook. But when you feel him start doing that, that's when you set
got
the
it.
hook.
That's right.
That's what Pat told me one day.
But that's great. That's good. That's really good. Yeah, definitely.
And I've been using that on people when they're just a cork or a topwater strike and they're just rearing back into it. It's like, man, feel the fish before. And you don't even. And guys, these hooks are so sharp. These.
Trust me.
You don't have to. You don't have to set the hook.
And the trout specifically,
pressure
with
on
a trout, their mouth is so soft anyway. It doesn't take much to set that hook.
That's another reason why I like the live targets, because it can be a floater or it can be a slow sinker, but the hookup ratio for an average person fishing with me is greater.
Yeah.
Because even with us fishing topwater day in and day out, we're going to lose fish. And there's nothing we've done wrong.
No, that's exactly right. They're going to miss the plug. Some days they're short striking it. Like there'll be some days where you see they're missing it by a foot.
Oh yeah.
That's like and okay, man, I might need to change something up. When they're missing the plug by a foot, you might need to change something up.
It's an 808 rig.
Right, and that's just the fish. That's just the fish behavior. There's nothing you can do to change that other than change it up. But if they're really honed in on topwater and they're smashing it and you're not getting hook sets, it's something that you can do something to kind of increase your hook set on that. So that being said, we're going to transition into our best bets. Evan, I'm going to let you take over the best bet intro. You want to run that while I go reset the camera?
Go reset the camera. Best bet sponsored by the Nowhere Grill where we're at right now. Great wings, full bar, Nowhere shrimp. What do we got? A 308 shrimp or something? I think I heard that earlier. They look pretty good. I saw them come by. I might try those in a minute. Right here, halfway to Keaton Beach from Perry. On the left, you can't miss it. It's literally the only thing here. It's all lit up if you come by at night. Come check Mark and Tammy out. They got it going on here. Anyway, Jay, what's your best bet?
So before we get into that too, I see those questions. We got a couple questions popping up. Keep those questions coming. We're gonna get to those.
Chris, I fished Shell Point this morning.
We're gonna answer those the best that we can, and then so just make sure you stick around. We answer all the questions at the end. That way we can get through everything that we need to. Otherwise, so best bets. So I hope I'm not stealing anybody's best bet. But my favorite thing to do when the water temperature starts cooling like it is, it starts dropping. Big trout, especially, love a big plug, and they love that suspending plug. And that whether it's you're throwing a Miradine or a Miralure or a Rapala. Subwalk or something like that that's going to get underneath the surface, the live target baits that you throw, Mark, but something that's going to mimic, because a lot of our bait leaves, but there's still, some pinfish on our flats, and we're just trying to mimic that stuff, and that's what those big trout and mullet, we're trying to mimic those big baits, and, fall is big trout season. Spring and fall, but fall is big trout season, and to really target those big trout, throw those big suspending plugs. So that's going to be my November best bet.
Yeah, guys, I'm going to apologize to you, man. I'm over here getting a little gassy, and it doesn't smell the best in the world, so we're all close quarters here, so maybe maybe you're not feeling that too much. Best bets. I would say starting this time of year, and Mark and I are different on this, and there's more than one way to skin a cat for sure. It's depending on your preference and all this stuff, but I love afternoon high tides. I like, and I think we like the same tides. We just fish them a little differently.
Yeah, we do.
And I'll fish some lows in the mornings too, but I like a good low tide that's warming up those oyster bars, warming up those mud flats, and as soon as that water starts going up on there, those big trout and fish just go and they stick to it, and where you find one, you'll usually find a bunch of them, and starting towards the end of this month, that's going to start happening. We got to have some more cold fronts and stuff like that, but generally Thanksgiving, really kind of kicks off that winter pattern.
Yep.
And that's what I like. You got a low morning tide, which we're going to start having those very often coming up, and then those big high afternoon tides. So if you're a fair weather guy and you don't like freezing your ass off, maybe just eat an early lunch and head out then. Or if you're like Mark, you can go what
daylight.
do you do? Daylight.
I go with daylight. Ice on the boat, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I have the clients dress warm, no bear skin, make a ride.
No bear skin. That's a good tip.
Yeah, no bear skin.
Yep. So, Mark, what's your November best bet?
I'm gonna have to go with starting of these low tides. I want in a northeast wind, the north wind, to help push the water even more. And the reason I say that because it just congregates the fish.
Yeah.
And whenever you can get the fish in numbers, it enhances your chances.
Yeah, when they're not,
especially for the average fisherman that don't fish as much as we do.
Sure.
And you need to be patient.
Yeah.
You
also need to be careful. Cause,
True.
Yeah.
You got to know where you're going.
Got to know where you're going.
What your limitation
for sure.
of your vessel is and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Please don't get a rental boat and go trench a flat.
If you do, follow Evan. Don't follow me, please.
Well, and like you were saying, it's a lot easier when those fish are scattered out on, when the water's up. They're a lot more scattered, and obviously when the water drops down, there's certain places that they're going to be more congregated. And if you know where to look for those,
that's enough.
That's going to be a
True.
good spot. Yeah. I'm not going to go into any more detail than that. I've been accused of giving away too much information in the past before.
Yeah,
so.
like 2 months ago, Jay's like, fishing sucks everywhere but Keaton Beach. Go to Keaton Beach.
All right. So that's our November best bets. Mine was artificial or suspending plugs. Evan is those afternoon highs, and then Mark likes those morning lows.
Same day. Just fish all day.
Yep,
exactly.
That's it.
So that's going to transition us into the tackle tip. So we're going to run our tackle tip vid here real quick, which is sponsored by Keaton Beach Bums here in Keaton Beach. So we're going to run that now. So here's your tackle tip, which it runs right along with what we were talking about earlier. So here you go.
Guys, this month's tackle tip sponsored by Keaton Beach Bombs. We're right here inside. They got all the bait you want. We got the cotton cordell red fins, mirror lures, rapalas, you know, a bunch of soft plastics, gulps, saltwater sasses, all that good stuff. Ice, non-ethanol fuel. You guys stop in, see Jared and Monica before you go out on the water when you come to Keaton Beach. So what I want to talk about this month is replacement hooks for your plugs. It's, you know, getting to be hard bait season. And so what we do is most plugs come with a set of treble hooks right here. What we like to do sometimes is replace those with some single inline hooks. There's a couple things you need to think about when you do this. Number one, we've talked about it before, is hookup ratio is going to go down a bit when you go to the inline hooks. Okay, also it can be an issue getting your weight balanced out. So if you look right here between these plugs, the inline hooks, the single hooks, are a lot bigger than the factory hooks that come on here, and that becomes a weight issue. So these are top water plugs, but if you have suspending plugs or sinking plugs, you want them, you know, to have similar weight. So what you have to do is just beef up these inline hooks and just go bigger than what the treble hooks are, you know, to balance off the weight. And if you have like a small digital scale, that'd be great to just measure the trebles, and then you can put the inlines and just whatever, get it weighted out right so it works the way it's intended to. Obviously the big advantage for the inlines are there's a ton of floating grass out there at times. This can be a big issue in our area. These get through the floating grass a lot better than treble hooks. You can't even throw treble hooks when there's a lot of grass out. Also, another advantage to these is the treble hooks tend to be a little flimsy, a little weak sometimes, unless you've got some really beefy ones on. If you hook up with a good redfish or, you know, whatever, you can put a lot more pressure on them with these hooks because they hang in there and they don't bend, and you can pull a lot harder. But anyway, that's just a little tackle tip, just showing you here. You can run these on top water, suspending, sinking, whatever hard plug you want. You always can switch to inlines. So there it is.
All right, so that's your tackle tip for November. Evan was talking about some changing your inline hooks on plugs, which is can be very effective, especially when, you know, for different times of the year.
It's not going to help in heavy grass, but if you have some grass that's fouling the trebles, it can be
for sure.
And you can get a better hook set.
Mark, you ever put inlines on any of your plugs?
Yes, but I normally go to a weightless, like a Devil or a Slick, and we'll use that.
I got you. So
you give up the rattle.
Like, right. Yeah.
Because if it's me and you fishing, all day.
Yeah.
But, you know, with clients, you tend to have to adapt to how well they can handle a reel and a plug.
Definitely.
So,
are you saying the people don't know how to fish?
No, I'm just saying they don't get the opportunity to go as much as we do.
That's
for
a very
sure.
political answer.
So we're going to transition into our questions now. So we got some great questions up here already that we'll get to in just a second. So if you got some other questions, guys, go ahead and send those in.
Drop them in now. We'll make a short night of it.
As far as, you know, what you think, what's happening or areas that you fish here soon, and we'll try to do our best to answer those. We got Mark on. Mark wants to talk about a couple things before we get to those questions. So, Mark, I'm going to let you get to the stuff that you want to talk about.
All right, thanks, Jay. I just want to let everybody know that Steenhatchee Marina on Dead Man's Bay should be completed. The new marina should be completed by end of February, sometime mid-March next year. And I believe they got almost 100 dry storage slips built.
And those are filling up pretty fast.
They're already
right?
full.
Okay.
So they're building another 2 sets across the street.
Okay.
But looking forward to that, and, you know.
So what are the things that marina is going to offer as far as?
All right. It's going to have 83 wet slips.
Okay.
And from everything that I've talked with them about, you know, customer service is going to be everything. They'll have 2,800 foot of retail on the second floor. Really
That's a lot of retail.
saltwater aquarium up there. I don't know how many gallons.
Well, that's pretty cool.
They're going to have a saltwater aquarium downstairs. Well, of course, there'll be their bar stations and food, hamburgers and stuff like that.
Sure.
Big screen TVs. Yeah. And then, but the retail is going to be.
As far as and bait and tackle and all that.
They'll have all your live baits and frozen baits, your fuel,
inshore,
your
offshore.
gas, inshore, offshore, But with 83 wet slips, that's everybody will have a place to park their boat.
Yeah.
And I tell you what else. Talking about the live target, we throw them a lot, but the bait ball series with the live target is exclusively to be sold on their website. The only place you can get it on their website or out of that marina. They got an exclusive deal with the bait ball series.
Okay.
Now that's separate from the scaled sardines and the other. That's separate from live target because live target just sold to that hook company.
Okay.
Acquired them.
It's not VMC, is it?
I can't think who it was. It just was on the web,
Right.
in the news the other day. But Jody and Toby and them have got an exclusive contract with the designer of the bait ball. And now also, I have one of 4 suspension bait balls because they never were suspension.
Right.
So I have a prototype with me. I should have brought it tonight, but I didn't. So if you want to buy bait balls, it's the gold, black and gold, and everything, you have to go through their marina.
So what those bait balls are, instead of just a single fish pattern on the plug, it's multiple. It looks like a little small.
Yeah, it's like a glass nose.
Yeah. It looks like a little small school of fish.
That's correct.
Yeah, on that plug.
And they're 3 to 3.5 inches. And they'll be floating in suspension in all the colors.
Yeah. So
that's good. And then they're also doing. We have a deck cat. Captain Bobby, my wife, she runs the deck cat boat. Well, they're building deck cats in Cross City, and they're also going to be putting out a line of something like a Simmons Texas style boat.
Right. Okay. I got you.
But it won't be as hard on your pocket, I think, as a Simmons can be.
Flats burner.
It's a flats burner, baby. That's right. We ain't got enough of them. Got to have a few more.
Got to have a few more. Yeah. Okay. All right, so we got some questions coming in. Appreciate that, Mark. That's great information. So that gives you a couple options when you go to Steinhatchee now. You got a couple options as far as some marinas that you want to choose to work through. All right, so we got some questions. Scott showing up here, so we'll just kind of work through those here. Scott Parrish, we're not going to talk about that because that sign behind us is we're just not going to talk about.
How about them Gators? They look real good last weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did.
All right,
we're going to turn this into a college football show, I think.
So Chris Gray says, where would you target redfish around Shell Point, St. Mark's area? You actually fished over there this morning, didn't you?
I did. I went over and fished with Hunter this morning, and
how'd y'all do? Not so good.
we were fly fishing, and we had about 15 knot wind first thing this morning, so it made it a little tough to see. Yeah. But yeah, we saw a few fish. They were mostly on that low tide. They were out on the grass flats. We looked in a few creeks. Didn't see a whole lot on the creeks, but I imagine out there on the long bar out in front of the point there at Shell Point, they probably come up on there.
The bars in the river.
Yeah, the bars in the river mouth. Yeah. I think that'll all be holding redfish right
and
now.
then, I'm only going to mention this
I don't
because
fish St. Mark's. I'll name spots.
Yeah,
I don't care.
I'm only going to mention this because it's pretty common knowledge. But there's an area called the Rock Garden that if you know when to go in there, you can be pretty productive on redfish.
Be careful.
Yeah, but just be real careful around your low tides. So that would be
and on high tide.
Well, yeah, because there's some pretty big rocks in there. All right, so so this is out of my area expertise. Mark, you might be able to speak on this.
Yeah, Mark's the expert on this one.
Any info tips on nearshore gag grouper and mangrove snapper in the fall winter?
I'll take that back. The last couple of weeks on some trips that we had to break out with cut pinfish when it was tougher, grass is bad. We've caught some 15 to 17-inch gags. That's normally we don't do, but as far as inshore, I don't.
Yeah, that's kind of a Crystal River Homosassa thing.
Well, that's a whole different deal.
It is.
8 to, I know of 40-something rock piles that's in 8 foot to 20 foot of water out there off that coast down there.
Right.
And them boys can slaughter them fish.
I don't know.
But we don't have it.
I had a guy ask me about that at the tailgate at the game Saturday, actually, and he was asking me if I ever go out in that 20 foot of water, and he was talking about, rock piles being out from Steinhatchee out there in 20 foot of water and people doing it on. I've never done it. I'm not that's not really my thing. I mean, it sounds cool. It's not really what I'm into. I don't really have the boat to go out in 20 feet of water in the wintertime and go do that kind of stuff. But I guess you can. I mean, I know if you go further south, like that Homosassa Crystal River area, obviously that's a very big thing down there.
We definitely got rock piles within 25 foot to 20 foot.
For sure.
I have them.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, go
as
find
far as
some rock
going and
piles
doing
throw
it,
crankbait.
you know, that takes time, and I ain't got the time.
I was
going to
say, have you ever tried it? Yeah.
We will, but I wouldn't never. It's when I take my daughter and Captain Bobby, we go together.
Yeah, and you got to have the right day, too,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, you do.
Well, and my thing with that is the trout and redfish is so good during that time. I have a hard time getting off that to go hunt some grouper out there.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
So that's definitely something that if you're looking specifically to do the near shore gag grouper, you know, you might want to think about going to that Crystal River Homosassa area.
Yeah. Go see.
There's some great guides down there that'll
good ones. Dan Clymer's the best. Go down there and see Dan. Book a trip with him. He'll put you on it.
There's some good ones down there. But there's got to be some areas that up here I just don't know that people have put in the time to figure
I've
out.
heard of people going out and like 20-ish feet of water and trolling plugs and catching
for sure.
grouper in the wintertime when it's cold now. When it's like real cold, not now.
No.
But speaking of, my man
Reed
Reed
Bailey.
Bailey, wants to know when the fish will be in the St. Marks River when it gets cold. Like not now.
Yeah.
Like
It's too early.
yeah, like they're gonna move into the rivers.
And that's with any river in our area too.
That's
We gotta
Hatchie,
have-
Swanee, any of them.
Yeah.
We got to have multiple nights below freezing air temps, you know.
And
a
really,
row to drive them
last
up
year they
there.
really. I mean, I don't know about the Steenhatchee River, but in some of the other rivers they really never got in there real good last
They
year.
didn't
Some-
get in there like it should.
No, because it
Some-
never
some
really got
years are
super
better
cold.
than others,
Sure.
and it
Yeah.
depends on. I think it depends on temperature, and I think it also depends on freshwater content of the rivers. If you have a lot of freshwater runoff, I feel like that holds them out a little more too. You know, it's iffy. It can be really good, or you know, they may never show up. What do you think? Is that 50s water temp? when
Yeah.
they're-
Yeah, it's
they're
got to
out
be
there?
cold.
It's got
It's got to be cold.
been in the 50s
been in
to
the
low
50s for a while.
50s for a week or so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's got to be
You
cold.
know? But I told, like we talked before the show, last year 42 degrees, a couple of days on the flat. That's
Yeah.
what the water temperature.
Oh, and I've
is.
seen it in the 40s plenty of times.
When it
before.
gets like that, and it doesn't
usually
warm
duck
way
hunting
back
then.
up and still stays like comes back up in the 50s.
Yeah.
That's when the river
Yeah,
fish
that's
usually
when
will be there.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And you know it's such a valuable resource. You know, it's hard to. I feel like sometimes it can be a little bit abused during the wintertime, but that's a whole nother
Yeah,
conversation. Yeah. All right. So next question is from Tyler Bennett. Where are some general areas, water depths to look for black sea bass moving into fall, winter? Thanks y'all for the reports.
Sea Bass Alley and Steenhatchee.
What I mean, really, just kind of some live bottom in like 8 to 10 feet of water, right?
Well,
I mean, that's
it might even be 15.
Yeah.
Just some hard bottom.
Yeah.
And you can tell that on your screen.
Right.
You know, it may not be rocks, but you can see the red color in your chart plotter. That means usually hard bottom. And you find little sea fans and stuff, and
Yeah.
if that's what you want, you can get them. But
Little coral heads.
yeah,
Yeah, and there again, I'm not going and hunting black bass in
Me
this
neither.
time of year. I mean, if that's your thing, then more power to you.
Yeah, I mean they do eat really good, but that's not something that we're typically
Beautiful,
targeting
beautiful
on a day-to-day
table fare.
basis.
Beautiful
Yeah.
table fare.
All
If
right.
you're gonna go fill a cooler with fish, go fill it with black bass.
Definitely, yeah, for sure.
for sure.
Travis Andrews says he was speaking to our tackle tip. I'm guessing here. He says I add trailing treble hooks to my hind treble, helps with hookup ratio. I add a feather to it most of the time. Which I guess if you got a day where they're short striking it, that
Travis,
might
what
be
kind of
something.
feather is that? Is that like an Indian feather, or are you plucking dove or pigeons out, or what? How are you doing that? Is that super glue? You weaving it in like a basket weaving technique?
Travis is a regular watcher. He watches about every month.
Yeah,
So
Travis is tries to add some comic relief in the comments.
in fact,
here.
our
I don't know how wrong he is on some of these things.
but that is a good tip. If you add a trailing treble hook to those plugs, if that's something that you really want to do, as far as hookup ratio and short striking. Chip Wallace, is it better to chant "Let's go,
Yeah,
Brandon"
let's
on a
skip
high
that one.
tide? Low tide, I'd say any tide's fine. Let's keep going. There you go. Brandy Lee Weeks is commenting on your shirt there, Evan. Go Braves. Go Braves. All right, let's keep any others here. Alabama All right. Alejandro Torres says Alabama umbrella rigs around the oyster bars. I'm not familiar with the Alabama or umbrella rig.
Umbrella rigs was started in the freshwater bass fishermen.
Yeah.
It's multiple baits, but we've
Oh
never,
yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah. For sure.
But
yeah.
it's a load to throw and to
I've
bring
never
back.
thrown 'em.
I've never thrown them in
Now,
salt water.
I
Yeah.
have seen, here we go on another Patism here. I've seen Pat tandem rig a bunch of flukes, like 3 flukes on like the swivel rig and stuff.
Right.
And it actually looks pretty good in the water, but it seems like a mess. You get trout head shake on them, seems like it'd just be a tangled mess.
Oh,
but
yeah,
I
yeah,
bet
for
it,
sure.
no doubt it would work.
Yeah, especially on those afternoon high tides like you're talking about, throwing a little bit deeper water. All right, I think that's gonna. We got a couple other comments from Travis Andrews that we'll.
Travis is burning up the comments.
Yeah, Travis.
Is that what you do? You put jumbo shrimp on your fly rod? Hey, sometimes I want to do that.
He said as far as your stinger hook, he said a turkey feather wrapped on the red with red thread.
One of the wing feathers, the big ones.
Yeah, that's a good question. All right. I think
We want to talk about. You got anything you want to talk about before we go off this thing? Tell them who you are, your business, and what you all
okay.
got going on.
It's Captain Bobby and myself. We're a husband and wife team.
Social media, website, all that good stuff.
And you can find us at Florida Saltwater Flats Fishing Charters. We also have Reds and Beds Lodge here in Steenhatchee.
Reds and beds, I like that.
Reds and Beds. We got groups.
Sounds like my college days.
That's right. We have groups of people come in and we cook their breakfast, make their lunches, put them on the boats, put them up at night, cook dinner for them, and everything. Turnkey operation.
So it's a all-in-one inclusive
Oh, yeah.
package there.
Yeah.
Nice.
And we like to catch big fish.
And if you guys are unfamiliar, Mark and Bobby are a husband and wife duo that work together as captains. They run separate boats and they do group trips and all that good stuff.
You got a website or?
Yeah, Florida Saltwater Flats Fishing or InshoreRedfish.com.
Okay. Cool.
We were going to have Bobby on tonight, but I guess she's
We got
stuck
the
with.
little. We got our little captain with us.
Cool. All right. So and you're running out of Steenhatchee, right?
Yeah, we run out of Steenhatchee.
Okay. So there you go. All right. So
capital of the world.
yep, we appreciate Mark coming on and hanging out with us tonight, Mark.
Thank
we
y'all for
really appreciate
inviting
it.
us.
Thank you so much.
Enjoy it.
So I think that's going to about, if there's no other last-minute questions here that pop up, I think that's going to about wrap us up. We are about 40 minutes in, so that's about how long we usually run.
That works.
So, Evan, you got anything to add real quick before we leave?
Yeah, I'm about to go eat some bang bang shrimp.
I hear you. I'm about to grab some food, too. So just real quick, next month we are going to do our first ever fly fishing show. So that's going to be from Wilkinson Fly Shop in Tallahassee, so we're looking forward to doing that. It's not going to be entirely fly fishing, but we're going to talk.
We're going to do the normal fishing report
Sure,
and all that.
sure,
We're just
definitely.
gonna talk a little fly
But
fishing tactics.
there's also going to be some good content in there as far as sight fishing as well, because a lot of fly fishing is sight fishing. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. So if you're interested in any of that stuff, make sure you check out the December issue or the December edition of the Apalachee Inshore Fishing Report. I am Captain Jay Carson. This is Evan Snow. We want to thank you all for joining us. Davis, we've done a kayak show before. You can go back and check one of our previous episodes where we've done a kayak show with Harry Smith. So if you want to check one of those out, feel free to do
Yeah,
that.
we've had Harry on a couple times.
Yep.
We always talk kayaks.
So
appreciate it, Mark.
Yep. Thank you, Mark.
y'all.
Thank you, Evan. We'll see y'all next month.